All right, guys, welcome back to the Independent Investor channel. As I alluded to last night, a panel discussion between the four of us on Aduro Clean Technologies.
All right. Well, let's just talk about the last month first. And I encourage anybody to look at the chart. In the last month, Aduro has gone from 378 to 627. So if this were a regular stock and regular circumstances, I would just be ecstatic, but I'd also be a little freaked out, right? You understand how things trade, but looking at everything that's happened in US markets, if you zoom out a little bit, you've got a perfect cup and handle setup. And Aduro's been as high as $7 after coming out on the Nasdaq. What's funny here is we have never seen a fair price for this stock. And that I'm excited, right? I only want to be in stocks that aren't valued fairly, but for Aduro, it is multiples from here. And that's going to continue to grow because we are dealing with a massive market. You said it already that this is one of the great developments of the century. I know for anybody who isn't really into this company and isn't digging deep all the time, we might sound like crazy people, but I'm pretty comfortable in that space. If you look at the total addressable market, and I think the thing that's becoming really clear to people is that what Aduro can do is handle all these plastics that other people can't. I think Eric said it best in an interview I did with him. He's talking about everybody fighting over basically the top of the pyramid. The ultra clean, there's not much you have to do to these plastics. Well, Aduro is, it's the entire bottom. I think of it like the food pyramid. Everybody else is going after the candy, where we're going after the meat and the potatoes. We're going after all of it, all the veggies, all your contaminated plastics. And the last couple of days, or I'll just say first, we had Siemens as an announcement. They're a really big player. Them choosing to partner with Aduro says a lot. Look, of the partners we know of, there are a lot of multi-billion-dollar players, and now we're looking into actually building of the next plant that'll be out in Q3. And Siemens is on board. We've got Zeton. It's a bunch of serious players in what everybody considered a year ago some tiny small cap that didn't have a shot.
There is an inherent misconception in the market that plastic recycling companies can get rid of their plastic waste if they have no regulation, as in some of the US states and some places. I can just get rid of it for free. It doesn't cost me anything. And the numbers in front of you will show you that this is so far away from reality. The numbers in front of you show you that if you have a clean waste stream, basically the creme de la creme of waste plastic that you're producing, which is very little, tiny, between collection, tipping, shipping, and the like, in the US, in the most, no extended producer responsibility, no regulation whatsoever, you're going to spend about $220 to $250 per ton. That's just literally to get rid of that plastic waste. Now, if you look at the European side, the numbers are 4x that. So anywhere between $750 to $900 per ton. Again, we're talking about companies that really don't care about their public image. They don't really care about, whether this is good, bad for the environment, which, in my opinion, and I think you guys would share my opinion, not a lot of real companies and big names like the Totals and Shells and so don't want to kind of have, a cleaner process and one that doesn't wind up in the landfill. But just the landfill process, this idea of I can just send it to a landfill, look at the cost. And this is, again, the clean of the clean. Now we go into the contaminated, and actually, if you we'll flip to the next page in a second, but the contaminated, and you will see that this is actually low to medium contamination. And in the US, again, in the most deregulated places where there's no EPR, no extended producer responsibility, nothing, you're going to pay $400 to $450 per ton just to get rid of it to the landfill. Again, in Europe, it's about 3 to 4 times that, so 950 to 1,200. And if you flip to the next page, where it gets interesting, is this is caveated that this is only 50 to 100 miles. And I'll talk about this point because this is important, okay? This is one of the biggest reasons why we keep saying what Aduro offers, no one else offers. Modularity is a very unique scenario. Not having to worry about shipping and sorting and collection, it is outside of the cost that I just showed you a minute ago. Okay, imagine how much the time and effort and tedious this process is. When, as opposed to all this, I tell you, I'll build you a plant right beside where the production is. So it's just a huge, huge benefit. And I don't think people understand how significant this is. Now, the other thing is, again, when we talk about tipping, that's only the landfill costs, assuming moderate regulation. Okay, we all know that landfills, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I've kind of dug around. There are not a lot of new landfill licenses that go around, and the process to get a new landfill is very, very difficult. And what I've come to realize in my research is that actually the landfill for a contaminated waste plastic is even further. It takes several years to get a license for that. So it's not like we can continue to kind of send these things to the landfill. But I'm just saying the reason why I showed these is I'm just trying to tell people, look, if you want to say that, okay, there's no base case for the business without regulation, you're absolutely wrong. There is 100% a base case for the business. And then, obviously in Europe, we know that there's the EPR, which is extended producer responsibility. That means that this is, gonna be like that. That is the reason why there is a differential between the US and Europe. And then when you look at it, the US currently has no national EPR tax. But, and this is a very important thing, that is something that's coming, regardless of what people say. So if we go back to the slide for a minute, to the first, yeah. So imagine today, I tell you, and by the way, the numbers in Europe are actually the same when you look at, for example, places in California and some of the, somewhat regulated places in the US. So when I need to spend anywhere between 750 to 900 on a clean stream per ton, or I need to spend, 950 to 1,200 on a, again, low to mild contaminated waste plastic. And then if I get you a solution that will not only make you not only get the job done, but also will have you improve your public image, and it will also allow you to not move, not have to worry about the collection, all this tedious job that is there. I don't know why people would not want to sign up to this. And this goes back to why these names, the Totals, the Shells, the Siemens, the Clear Farms, and the others, why are they putting their name out there? Because they truly have a very clear reason why they need to get this sorted. They need to resolve the problem of plastic waste from a public image, but also from a financial standpoint.
Why wouldn't it cost money? Like
Yeah.
last time I checked, when I want to throw something away, they charge me per month.
The recycling side is the issue that why the Totals and the Shells and the likes are really putting their name behind Aduro. And what is interesting is when we go to pyrolysis, which is the next slide, this is your pyrolysis. This is the limited solution that results in, that cannot take all types of plastic waste, that has a very low yield, that is not really great for the environment, and so on. Okay. And I'm not going to go like dollar for dollar, but look at this. Feedstock costs $100 to $200. Again, they put the caveat there, depends on the type. Actually, when you do further research, they say if it's contaminated, we don't know if pyrolysis can handle it. But if an upgraded type of pyrolysis can handle some of it, it will be closer to $500 to $600 per ton. So your feedstock cost is significantly high. Now, none of us on this panel knows exactly what will the feedstock cost for Aduro will be, but we're for sure when you're dealing with the 75% that no one else wants to deal with, you're for sure going to get a better rate than the people that are all fighting for the same feedstock. So whilst we don't know the answer, we know that it's going to be a fraction of this. Then shipping and transportation, again, amazing, $50 to $150 within a locality. So again, within a small radius of 50 to 100 miles. Okay, well, if I put you a plant or modular plant right beside you, right off the bat, I saved you, call it 75, $100 per ton. That's there. The other thing that Eric talked about is there will be very little pre-treatment sorting when it comes to Aduro. Look at that when it comes to PVC and drying. This is not all types. This is just a very small, type of plastic, because again, pyrolysis cannot handle all types of plastic. It's $100 to $200. So I know for a fact that it's going to be lower for Aduro. How much lower, we don't know, but it does. We already heard from Eric that it is going to be, they don't need sorting, a very minimal sorting process. Now the energy, okay, because it's heating up to 500 and so on, you're putting, $100 to $300. Aduro is way less. Labor, maintenance, catalyst, all of these components, okay, are way cheap. They add up. They ultimately, it will cost you somewhere between, $1,000 to $2,300. And again, we are just barely talking about a very specific set of feedstock that that pyrolysis can deal with. Now, why is this important? Because if I am Total today and I have 2 million tons of production per year, and that's only increasing, and I have to, in Europe, recycle 25% or 50% or whatever the number is going to be in 5 years, 25% now in this year, going to 50% by 2030. Okay, so I need to recycle, say 500,000 tons per year. That's, again, just a requirement. So if I use pyrolysis, assuming that they can even process my material, okay, I am going to go and spend, let's say, for ease of numbers, I'm going to use $1,500 just so that it's easy. $1,500 times 500,000, that's $75 million per year just to recycle and get a very lousy outcome at the end, that I then have to upgrade it. I have to take that very low quality diesel or whatever it is and then I have to upgrade it in an upgrader, that is going to cost me a few $100 again. So it's just mind-boggling when you get to the numbers as to why the business case for Aduro is like laid out to you. And then, do we know exactly how much would it cost for Aduro? No, but as I said, like, we know the feedstock cost is going to be way less. We know that there's no shipping, transportation. The pre-treatment is going to be way less. The energy is going to be way less. Labor and maintenance is going to be way less. CapEx, we already said the yield is way higher, so the CapEx and the OpEx is going to be less. And the post-treatment, they already said it's minimal post-treatment. It's not going to be $200 to $500. So what is it? They did not publicize it, but it's not going to be 1,500. It's not going to be 2,300. It's going to be something lower. So, these are the reasons why we are sitting on this panel and pounding the drum and saying, guys, take a look at Aduro. And again, reminder to everyone, pyrolysis and mechanical recycling, which includes pure cycle, can only handle very limited amount of of plastic waste. They cannot touch that 75% that Penny was referring to at the beginning. Either way, you want to send it to a landfill, there is a cost, which we just went through. You want to ship it, there's a cost. And if you want to use the alternatives that are right now, which are not very effective, there is a very prohibitive cost. So if we come to you with a solution that says, we're going to be at your site, it's modular, okay, we're going to be on your site, okay, it's a license fee, and it's going to cost you a fraction just because, again, the feedstock cost is less, the shipping, there's no shipping, pre-processing is going to be way less, post-processing is minimal, the cost of running the machine is less because of the yield. Again, we don't know the numbers, but less is enough at this stage. Is it half of the cost? And I can deal with the stuff that none of the others can deal with. I don't know, but I'm just saying that is enough for me to grasp on this and say, I want to support this thing. I want to be behind it.
I want to talk about revenues and famous EBITDA. How many times did you guys hear since the beginning of us talking about Aduro? I don't want to touch it because it doesn't have revenues. I don't want to touch it because it doesn't have EBITDA, right? You know what? Get over this. Get over this, or you're going to keep looking at it and seeing it go up. Because the same argument could have been made 400, 500% ago. And the same argument is going to be made over the next 1,000%. And I probably made $1 million on it already. Yazan probably made 4 or 5 already. And there's no revenue in sight yet, right? And so investing is more than just revenues. There's so many different ways that we can make money. If you want to be in the business of flipping cars, the car is not generating any revenue, yet you can flip it to somebody. Like, are you not going to buy the car because it's not generating Uber revenues? No, because you can, buy it cheap, you can fix it, and then you can sell it, and somebody else will buy it because you are adding value to somebody else's life by selling a fixed car. And Aduro is solving a major problem to the society and to many different companies. So the key is to study why they are solving the problem to the other companies. I think that the problem that many investors have is that they cannot put themselves in the shoes of somebody else. They think it's free to get rid of plastic, right? Because they haven't really done anything else in their life other than having a full-time job. Somebody pays them money. They have a 401k. They can't even fathom what it's like to solve somebody else's problem. So they cannot put themselves into a situation. Like, how dumb do you have to be to think that it's free to get rid of plastic? I mean, you can't even get rid of your food scraps for free, and you think somebody else can get rid of plastic for free? And also, what are the pain points? What are the pain points for these companies? Why are they getting involved? Put yourself in their shoes and understand it from their point of view, and then you will understand it. Now, going back to this revenue again, PureCycle recently reported their numbers, and they just for the first time showed revenues. Okay, they lost $50 million per quarter, but they showed tiny revenues, and everybody got excited. Now they're $2 billion market cap with their debt or something, and they just showed us revenues. Forget EBITDA, EBITDA, just revenues. Okay, so we have a much better technology, but we should be multiples their market cap. But if we just reach their market cap of $2 billion, that's $20 million for me personally, and we just saw revenues. Okay, and then I saw some people talking about how PureCycle should be worth 10 times the current market cap. So that's $20 billion, right? So if Aduro reaches $20 billion, that's $200 million for a YouTuber like me, right? And all it is that my mindset is, don't be an idiot. Don't have blinkers on. Don't let the fact that it doesn't have revenues to prevent you from making money. Like, if you want to, that's fine. Keep waiting for the revenues. I'll sell you my shares for $200, $300, $400. I have no problem for you feeling good about paying me all this money because you finally see revenues. By that time, I'll be flying a private jet.
What cracks me up here is that all four of us are sitting here making money with Aduro, and yet we all have a completely different take. So my take in summary is that we all know plastics are hydrocarbons, fuels are hydrocarbons. They can turn the plastics into fuels. They have an oil well that will never run dry. Circularity means never running out of your resources. But I think that 10, 15 years from now, we will consider landfills to be a resource in another way, because we know that there are very precious hydrocarbons sitting in piles. Sure, they're dirty and they need a talented processor like Aduro to handle it, but there are resources sitting there. This is the ultimate solution to getting plastics, to stop them from going into our environments and then into our bodies. It's the cure for several different issues in our society, and energy independence, I think, is one of the most important ones. So we've got a oil field that'll never run dry, and we'll be effectively cleaning our environment. So,
I mean, from what you're saying, Penny, is these landfills with Aduro's technology, they can literally turn them into gold mines.
oh, absolutely. I mean, it is just piles of cash waiting to be processed. That's a ways down the road, but what I see for the next 6 months is continued discovery of Aduro Clean Tech, continued discovery of the stock, modular and scalable, right? This is something that we've been talking about from the beginning, and for a lot of people, it was probably just a line or two in the slide deck that didn't really mean anything. Modular and scalable means that this can be deployed for individual businesses that are in the right industries. This can be deployed for cities or towns that are far-flung places like, Yellowknife up in Canada, right? They could have their own modular reactor, and they could be handling their waste. They could be profiting from it. There's a lot to this. Circularity means less transportation costs for people. It means less natural resource loss. It means leaving more stuff alone in the ground and preserving the environment as a whole. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there are many businesses anywhere in the hydrocarbon cycle that can't benefit from the technology that Aduro is readying for them. And this new plant coming out in Q3 is a very big deal.